Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be unboxing the Stormcast Eternals Vanguard Raptors set and seeing how we can use these miniatures for Warcry. Here we go, here's the Vanguard Raptors, and I picked these up mostly for the Aether Wings because I thought they were really cool, but I'll also be building a warband with these Stormcast Eternals as like a long-range kind of hunter warband, and I'll add in a Gryph-hound as well. But we'll go through some of that later on once we go through the fighter cards for these guys. But if you want to pick these up, they're £25, that's the RRP, but I'll put a link to Element Games in the description below, and then that'll save you some money. And at the moment they're priced there at $21.26, so you're going to make a decent saving, and you can usually save up to 20% with Element Games. And these links I use, they're affiliate links, but they don't cost you anything. In fact, you make that saving, and for every sale made for an affiliate link, I get a small commission, and that's going to help me do loads more videos like this. So thanks so much for that support. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get stuck in and get this box open. We'll have a look at the contents, then I'll build the models, and then we'll have a look at the fighter cards we can use for them and their abilities. Just a small box for these guys. We're only going to get 6 models, so we're not looking at having too much contents in there. But nice packaging for the Age of Sigmar, and then on the back it tells you what's included and the different options. So you can build these as either Hurricane crossbows or Long Strike crossbows, and you've got the Aether Wings in the different styles. It's got your little paint guide here if you use the traditional method, and also that's for the Aether Wing, and then this one here for the Stormcast as well. So these are kind of marksmen, almost like snipers, I guess. So that really appeals to me. I love the idea of that. But let's get them open and see what's inside. So just cut this open here. Get rid of this film. So these are going to be a really interesting warband to put together, like a real long-range warband. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Let's get them open. And so inside we're going to get... our bases are going to be loose, so no tray or anything like that. Just straight out the box. Get rid of that. And then we're going to get the 3 oval bases, and these are 60mm. And then we're going to get these 3 larger ones, and then 3 smaller ones. So I'm not sure what all these are for yet. We'll find out. I guess you can put the Aether Wings on these oval ones, can you? Or on the round ones? I'm not sure. We'll find out when we get through it. And then we've got our 2 sprues. We've got a transfer sheet. And then we've got a nice colour book. Much better getting these coloured instruction books. And so that's everything you're going to get in the pack. So let's have a look at the sprues in detail, and then we'll have a look at the instruction book. So we've got 2 different sprues, and it looks like we're going to get 3 different birds, which is nice. So they're in different poses. And let's have a look close up at the details. Let's just focus on that. There we go. So I'm really looking forward to painting these. When I painted the Shrike Talon from the Corvus Cabal, the feathers came out really nice with the contrast paints. So I'm looking forward to getting these birds done. And here's the crossbows, which look a lot like guns, don't they? But still cool. And it's got different ones here. So these must be the Long Strike ones, and these are the Hurricane ones. Really nice. And let's flip it over. Look at some more of the detail. So it's the birds I'm really interested in here. But still great to get some Stormcast Eternals on the scene. I've got a bunch of them to build from the Mortal Realm sets, so we've got to do that. But here we go. Here's the faces. So we get 3 heads for the Stormcast Eternals. So there's loads of options here for weapons. I mean, there's 7 different weapons there just on that one sprue. So that's the first one. And then here's our second one. So again, really nice detailing on the birds. Lots of cool feathers and textures. And all the different armour. The shoulder armour here. Really nice. And the Stormcast Eternals are pretty big as far as models go. So they really tower against like the human version. So if you compare them to, say, a Chaos Warband like the Untamed Beasts, they're much bigger. But once they're built, I'll do a little size comparison so you can see. But I'm really happy with these Aether Wings. Let's flip it over. Yeah, and you've got the wing texture underneath as well, as you would expect. And there's another bird here that sits on his arm. So for the Hunter Prime. So there we go. There's the sprues. Some great detail. Really pleased with the Aether Wings. And so now let's look at the instruction book. And here's the instruction book. And this is the first time I've seen a transfer sheet with an Age of Sigmar set of models. So that's interesting. I don't think I'll use them. I'm not sure. But they come in the box anyway. So that's those. And here's the instruction book with some nice kind of pictures that you can use as your colour guides. I keep the boxes, and I tend to use the box art when I use the colour guide. But for the birds, I'll be doing these like in a green colour that's going to match with a different warband that I'm using miniatures from the Godsworn Hunt with. So there we go. But opening it up, it looks like it's going to be pretty easy to put together. The only Stormcast I've built so far being the easy to build ones. So it's nice to get some that are kind of assembled in the proper way like this. So this is great. So we'll have a bit more options hopefully in how we can pose them. And here we go. So we can make the Raptor Prime. And he's got the long strike crossbow. You can have the Vanguard Raptor 1. So these are all with the long strikes. And they come on this stand. So these guys must have a huge range, which we'll find out when we go through the fighter cards later. And the Vanguard Raptor 3. And then the Aether Wings. So these look really cool, how they kind of put them on these like branches. Really nice. So I'm really looking forward to getting these painted. I think they're going to look awesome in a green kind of colours. And here you can also make them as Vanguard Raptors with the Hurricane crossbows too. So you can have the Raptor Prime and then the Vanguard Raptor 1, 2 and 3. So lots of options on how to put them together. And I'd be interested to see how we can do the stances, whether it's pretty fixed or not. So we'll find out. But don't forget, you also, if you play Age of Sigmar, you also get these cards, war scrolls included in the instruction books too. So you can use them in Age of Sigmar. And then a really nice detailed colour guide on the back for layer paints. They don't use contrast paint colour guides. Hopefully that's something they may introduce in the future. And I'd like to see it. But for now, we just have to use the colour guides here. But if you look at the Citadel colour app, that gives you colour guides for most of the Age of Sigmar miniatures and 40k as well. And so if you want to look for a paint guide for contrast paints, then that's a great app. And I've done a video on that if you'd like to check it out too. So there we go. There's the instruction book. And again, I don't know why we got those different bases. This is why. That's why. So these oval bases are for the long strike crossbows. So that makes sense. So if you're doing the long strike crossbows, they need that extra length to put the stand on. So there we are. So we've got the 60mm bases for the long strike. And then we've got 40mm bases for the Hurricane crossbows. And then for the Aether Wings, we're going to be using 32mm bases. I'll go away and get these put together and assembled. And then once we've built them, we can use the Sentinels of Order Warcry Grand Alliance supplement book to see what fighter cards we'll need and what options we have, and also look at the abilities that we can use with these fighters for Warcry. So I'll see you back here in a second. And here we go. Here's all our miniatures assembled. I'm really happy how these turned out. Really impressed with these miniatures. The birds are fantastic. Some great poses. And the Stormcast Eternal Raptors, really happy with them. Like them a lot more than I thought I would before I got the set. So yeah, really pleased with these. I've assembled one Raptor Prime with the long strike crossbow, and I thought if I wanted to I could use him as a proxy for the Raptor Prime with Hurricane, so that wouldn't be a problem. And then I made one long strike crossbow Vanguard Raptor and one Hurricane crossbow Vanguard Raptor as well. I put the long strike Raptor on a 40mm base, just again so I could proxy him as a Hurricane crossbow if I wanted to. And here's the 3 Aether Wings, and they come in 3 different poses, so there's no variation on how you can put them together. They basically, as you see them on the box, is how you're going to assemble them. But they look great. So dynamic, and the movement within it looks brilliant. So I really love these. But now we've got them all assembled, let's take a look at the fighter cards and abilities. And for this section of the video, we'll be using the Sentinels of Order Warcry supplement book. And then you can see on page 62 onwards is the Stormcast Eternals section. And this is packed with miniatures, something like 74 different fighters that you could use. So it's got like 74 fighter cards, and it's got the 3 different factions within the Stormcast Eternals who each have different abilities. And so you can see we've got the Warrior Chamber. They're going to have their own leader and fighter abilities. We've got the Sacrosanct Chamber. They're, again, the same fighter and abilities are going to be different. And then finally, the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber. These models in this video were featured in the Warcry Stormcast Eternals set, and you'll get the cards in there that match the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber. And I got really lucky recently. I've just ordered this on eBay, so it's coming real soon, so I can't wait for that. But it's really hard to find that Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber card pack now, but you can still find the Sacrosanct Chamber and the Warrior Chamber card packs if you want those. And I've managed to find both of those, and I'll be doing separate videos for them and using them alongside the models I get from the Mortal Realms set. Okay, so let's get started going through each of the models and the different fighter variations you can build them with. And we'll start with this guy, who's the Raptor Prime with long strike crossbow. And here's his fighter card taken from the book. And this is going to come in at 280 points. And this is a leader, so he's got the leader rune mark, and he's got 2 other rune marks. And you'll see just above the picture on the left there is the rune mark for the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber faction of the Stormcast Eternals. And his movement is 4, toughness is 5, and he can take 30 wounds. And he's got 2 choices of weapons. So the first one is this long strike crossbow, which has got a huge range of a minimum 6, maximum 20, can make 1 attack, strength 5, dealing 4 to 10 on a crit. And if he gets up close, he can use his fists or strike them with his bow, and that's a range of 1, making 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So this long strike crossbow is a super interesting weapon, a massive range, up to 20, but a minimum of 6. And it's like 1 shot, 1 kill with this. So it's really strong with a strength 5, but 4 to 10 on a crit. So if you roll that dice and you get a crit, there's a good chance you can take out players with 1 shot or fighters with 1 shot, which is really exciting. And that's going to be a great element to add to the game. As a leader, the Raptor Prime is going to get this double ability called Righteous Aura, and this is the only leader ability that he's going to get. And with this, until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the toughness characteristic of friendly fighters while they are within 6 inches of this fighter. So you may not think you need this for the Stormcast Eternals because they're all really tough. But if you start taking in the Aether Wing or the Gryph-hound, then this is a really useful ability to use. And I can really see this actually being used for the Aether Wings to give them that little bit of extra strength, toughness, because you'll see later on their toughness is very low. As well as that leader ability, he's also going to get the regular fighter abilities. And with this Raptor Prime, he's got 3 fighter abilities that he can use. And the first one is a double called Tireless Hunter, and any fighter with this faction rune mark can use this ability. And with this, it's add half the value of this ability, rounding up to the move characteristic of this fighter for the next move action they make this activation. So with a movement of 4, this could actually come in quite handy, but for it to be really worth using, I think you need a 4, 5 or 6, or even a 3, 4, 5 or 6 to give you that extra movement, and it could certainly keep you out of harm's way from the enemy fighters who are coming towards you, and keep you with the ability to have that nice range of 6 to 20 with the long strike crossbow. He's also got this other double called Warning Cry. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 6 inches of this fighter. Until the end of the battle round, you can reroll 1 dice during attack actions made by friendly fighters that target that fighter. So this is really good. I mean, if you want to kind of get close to the enemy with this guy and start advancing, but you want your other fighters who perhaps have got the long strike crossbow to re-roll, because then you get 1 attack. If you want them to re-roll that 1 dice during an attack action, then that could be really useful, and I could certainly see this coming in handy. And you'll see later on again with the Aether Wings, they get this ability too, and that's going to be a huge tactic for this warband, I think. And as a long strike crossbow wielder, this guy also gets a quad called Aimed Strike. Add the value of this ability to the damage points allocated to enemy fighters by each hit or critical hit from attack actions made by this fighter this activation. So this is really great. It's already like 4 to 10 damage inflicted on that weapon, but now you can increase that by adding the value of the ability to the damage point. So if you've got 4 to 10 and you roll a 6, you could potentially add 10 to 16 damage points And that's for each attack action, not just for one. So during an activation, if you make 2 attacks, you can apply this aim strike to it. So I think this long strike crossbow is an awesome weapon, really cool. And this gives you the ability to have like a warband with a proper sniper in it. And I think that's really appealing. I love that. And we can also assemble this fighter as a Raptor Prime with a Hurricane crossbow. So you can give him a different weapon, but I'll be using the same way I've built him here as like a proxy. And that way I can use him for either Raptor Primes if I choose. But if you go for the Hurricane crossbow, this one's 245 points. It's got movement 4, toughness 5, can take 30 wounds. He's got the faction rune mark for the auxiliary chamber. And he's also got the leader rune mark, and he's got this other rune mark here. His weapons, he's still got a range weapon, but this time it's 3 to 15, so minimum 3, maximum 15 inches. Can make 3 attacks now, strength 4, dealing 2 to 6 on a crit. And he can also use his fists again, which is a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So this is a really interesting range weapon again, very powerful. 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 6 on a crit. And so that's really interesting. But this has got a great ability. So let's take a look at the abilities that you can use with this Raptor Prime with Hurricane Crossbow. And just like the other Raptor Prime, he gets the double Righteous Aura for the leader ability. But as a fighter, he's going to get the Tireless Hunters double. But specific to this fighter is the triple called Rapid Fire. Add half the value of this ability, rounding up to the attacks characteristic of the next attack action made by this fighter, this activation. So with this ability, you can only use it for one attack action. It's got to be the next attack action that you make during an activation. And adding half the value of the ability rounding up is huge for such a powerful weapon already. So if we're looking at being able to take 3 attacks here with this Hurricane crossbow, we could potentially, if we get a 5 or 6, make another 3. So you could have 6 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 6 on a crit. And then that makes this a pretty awesome weapon, and especially for a ranged weapon. If you're 15 inches away and you can make 6 attacks, dealing 2 to 6 on a crit, then that's crazy good. So really good ability, this triple, this Rapid Fire, and I really like this one. Okay, our next fighter is the Vanguard Raptor with Long Strike Crossbow, and he's coming in at 225 points. He's got movement 4, toughness 5, and can take 20 wounds. He's got the faction rune mark for the Vanguard auxiliary chamber, and 1 other rune mark, so that's an ability he's going to get. And with his weapon, very similar, exactly the same actually as the Raptor Prime with Long Strike Crossbow. It's a weapon range of 6 to 20, 1 attack, strength 5, dealing 4 to 10 on a crit. And then if he gets up close, it's a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So he's 55 points less than the Raptor Prime, and he loses that leader ability, and he also loses the warning cry ability, but he does get that aim strike. So let's take a quick look at that one now. Here we go. So we've got the double Tireless Hunters that we've seen, and we've also seen this quad aim strike. So 2 pretty decent abilities for this guy. And for 225 points, you know, that difference really between the Raptor Prime is he loses 10 wounds that he can take, and he loses those abilities, but the weapons are the same. So I think having this kind of long-range sniper in your warband's really fun. And I think with that quad aim strike, that's a great ability to be able to use. So this is quickly becoming some of my favourite fighters, actually. I like playing like archers and snipers in different games, and so having this is really good. So loving these characters so far. Now we've got the Vanguard Raptor with Hurricane Crossbow, and he's coming in at 195 points, and he's got movement 4, toughness 5, and can take 20 wounds. He's got the faction rune mark and the bulwark rune mark, so he's going to get an ability as well. And his weapon again is exactly the same as the Raptor Prime with a Hurricane Crossbow. He's getting a weapon range of 3 to 15, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 6 on a crit. And he's up close, he's a weapon range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So you're losing 50 points there, and again you're losing 10 wounds and the leader ability. But let's just go over that bulwark ability just to kind of refresh our minds with that one. So again, he's got the faction rune mark, so he gets the double Tireless Hunters, but now he gets this triple rapid fire ability, which is really great ability again, and to keep the enemy at bay from a distance. These Stormcast Eternal Vanguard are looking really good. And once you start tying in the tactics of the Aether Wing and maybe some Gryph-hounds, I think they're going to be really effective on the battlefield. Can't wait to play them. But there we go. That's the 3 Stormcast Eternal fighters that you can build from this set. So now let's take a look at the Aether Wing. And here's the Aether Wing. And so this is the same fighter card for all 3 of the sculpts. And so this is going to come in at 45 points. Got a movement of 12. Toughness of 2, and can take 6 wounds. We've got the faction rune mark, the fly rune mark, and one other rune mark. So they're going to get the ability that every Stormcast Eternal gets, and then they're also going to get one of their own. Their attack here is with their claws, so they're going to be maybe even pecking with their beak. So it's going to be a range of 1. They can make 3 attacks, strength 2, dealing just 1 to 2 on a crit. So looking at this, for 45 points, you're not going to get an awful lot. But they do have a movement of 12, which is fantastic. And they can fly. And they're going to get their own ability as well. So that's pretty good for 45 points. But don't expect them to do much damage, even with 3 attacks. At strength 2, dealing 1 to 2 a crit, they're always going to be having to roll pretty much 5s and 6s to get any damage done. And then it's just going to be literally pecking away at the enemy. But it's the movement you want to use with these guys. Get them in, get to those objectives, maybe just like last minute fly in and pinch the objective from the enemy. I think that would be the tactic here. But their double ability is really useful, and if you use all 3 Aether Wings, you can assign 1 Aether Wing to each fighter almost, and so that can be really effective. So let's take a look at the ability that comes with the Aether Wing. And just like all the other fighters, they've got the rune mark for the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber, so they get the double Tireless Hunters, but they get this warning cry on a double, which we've already seen. And so just a quick recap, pick a visible enemy fighter within 6 inches of this fighter. Until the end of the battle round, you can re-roll 1 dice during attack actions made by friendly fighters that target that fighter. So if you assign 1 Aether Wing to each long strike crossbow, or even hurricane crossbow, that Aether Wing can fly ahead, target an enemy fighter. They can still keep 6 inches distance between them. Then they can give out the warning cry, and that long strike crossbow, who only can make 1 attack action, can now re-roll that dice. So they've got another chance of making the actual hit or critical hit. So that's a really great ability, and tactics-wise, I think this is going to be really fun to use those 3 Aether Wings with our long strike crossbows and hurricane crossbows. And I think they'll do some serious damage as well as stealing those objectives. Now we've gone through all the fighter and the different variations and fighter cards you can use. I put together some warbands based on what you get in the box. And with this one, it totals 180 points. And this is making the most of all the fighters and using them for the most highest point value fighter cards that are included in the book. So just from the models included in this set, you can actually put together 880 points, which isn't bad at all. You know, it's coming in at around £20 and you're getting quite a lot here. Some really powerful fighters as well with those long strike crossbows. But I don't think you'd want to take maybe 3 long strike crossbows and 3 Aether Wings in. You're going to need a lot more than that. But even adding a couple more Aether Wings would be quite interesting. So I put together some other ideas we can use. And here's another option using the sets here. So you could have a Raptor Prime with Hurricane Crossbow, and then take a Long Strike and a Hurricane Vanguard Raptor, use all 3 Aether Wings, and you're still going to have 200 points left. And so with that, you could use a Vanguard Hunter, which is 165 points. You could bring a Gryph-hound for 150 and another Aether Wing. You could even have another Vanguard Raptor with Hurricane Crossbow. So you've got lots of options here to add different fighters to get up to that 1,000 points. And here's another way of doing it. You can go with, this is using the fighters included in the set at their lowest points, and this allows you 230 points. So then you can start bringing in other leaders like a Hunter Prime, and you may even be able to bring in a hero from another of the Stormcast Eternal Chambers. So that would be quite a fun way to do it as well, to get you up to 1,000 points. So you've got a lot of options with this set. And I think having these long-range weapons, it would be good to bring in someone to get up a bit closer. And I like this idea of going with the Raptor Prime, Hunter, with a Hurricane crossbow and then having a Hurricane and a long strike, using all 3 Aether Wings, and then simply add in a Gryph-hound. And then once I get another set, I'll probably add another Aether Wing to this. And I think that would be really fun, to have 4 Aether Wings and a Gryph-hound, all getting around, flying around the objectives, all being backed up with these attacks from the Vanguard Raptors from a distance. I think that would be great fun. And then you've got another option here if you want to go up using that Gryph-hound to get closer to 1,000 points. You can get to 980 by using 2 long strike crossbows and then your Hurricane crossbow for your Raptor Prime. So there we go. There's a few options, and I think these would all work, but I like the idea of maybe going for 800 and then using a hero from one of the other chambers. I think that would be a fun way to play these guys. So that's all the fighter cards and the abilities for the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber, for the figures and fighters that are included in this set, and just some options of how to put together a warband. But I'd love to know what you think about these. I mean, before I got this set, I wasn't too bothered about the Stormcast Eternal. I wasn't too worried about putting together a warband quickly and getting them painted. But with these, I really like the idea of having a sniper unit. So that's going to be awesome. I'm going to get these done as quick as I can. But yeah, let me know what you think. It'd be awesome to hear your feedback, and also any tactics if you played them already. So join in the comment section below. That'd be awesome. And I'll put links to Element Games where you can get that discount, and I'll also put a link to Amazon. So if you're outside of the UK and the EU, then I'll put links so you can find them on Amazon and still order them. And those affiliate links are a great way for you to help me develop the channel, and I really appreciate that support. So thanks so much for that. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'll be great to see you there. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like if you like it, subscribe for more content like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.